Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to take you through today's topic because we're looking at something that literally dictates the entire trajectory of our lives. We're exploring a pretty massive premise today. If you understand these 6 money principles, you will never see money the same way again. Because honestly, the truth is that understanding how money actually works is the ultimate, true secret to financial security. Okay, let's dive into this. What if the reason you feel stuck or struggle financially has, well, very little to do with how much money you actually make? What if the real root of the problem is simply that nobody ever sat down and taught you the mechanics of how money functions? You know, we usually just assume that a bigger paycheck is the ultimate cure-all for our financial woes. But as we're going to see today, that is rarely the case. And that brings us to section 1, the ultimate money problem and why making more isn't always the answer. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we need to talk about. We need a major mindset pivot right out of the gate here. Imagine 2 people earning the exact same salary. They live in the exact same city, they have similar responsibilities, and they even start out with the exact same opportunities. Now fast forward 10 years. Person A is totally financially secure, completely stable. Meanwhile, person B, they're constantly panicking over a maxed out credit card, just trying to survive until the next payday. So what actually changed here? It wasn't necessarily intelligence, it wasn't always luck, and it certainly wasn't their income, right? Because they started at the exact same level. The difference really just comes down to an understanding of core money principles. Wealth builders eventually stop asking, how can I make more money? And they start asking, how can I keep more of what I make? And how can I make my money produce more money? Which leads us directly into principle 1, money is just a tool, it's not the goal. One of the absolute biggest mistakes people make is treating money like it's the ultimate destination. They chase the next salary bump thinking, oh, if I just make more, then I'll be happy. But money is literally just a tool. Think about a hammer. A hammer is only valuable because of what you can use it to build. You definitely don't go buy a hammer just to stare at it on your shelf, do you? Money works the exact same way. Its real value comes entirely from what it allows you to do. It buys time, it creates opportunities, and it provides security. Moving right along to section 2, purpose and the wealth illusion, breaking the income trap. Let's be real for a second. If you don't give your money a very specific purpose, advertising and social media will gladly give it one for you. Let's completely break the illusion that income equals wealth, which is principle 2. Look at person A. They earn 100 grand a year, but they spend almost all of it just trying to keep up appearances. We're talking expensive car payments, completely unnecessary subscriptions, mounting consumer debt, and absolutely zero in savings. Now, consider person B. They earn half as much, 50,000 a year, but they strictly control their expenses, purposefully build up their savings, and they invest consistently. So who is actually wealthier here? Obviously, it's person B. Income just measures your ability to earn, but your wealth measures your actual financial position. A high income can honestly just create a really convincing illusion of success. So the crucial point is avoiding this massive, massive trap called lifestyle inflation. You absolutely should try to increase your income, for sure. But if you do that without improving your underlying financial management, you just end up upgrading everything around you. You spend way more just to match what you make. And suddenly your higher salary hasn't given you an ounce of freedom. It's just locked you into a much more expensive prison. Real wealth literally begins right there in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Now we're shifting gears to section 3, time, consistency, and trade-offs, the mechanics of growth. And this introduces principle 3, compounding heavily rewards consistency. Most people severely underestimate what small, repeated financial actions can turn into over a span of years. Let's look at $200. Suppose you start investing just $200 every single month. In the early stages, this is going to feel painfully slow. The first year might not look life-changing at all. And honestly, that's exactly why so many people quit. They look at their account and say, well, this isn't working. But historically, if invested in the broader market over 30 years, that $200 a month could blossom into over $250,000. Compounding is exactly like planting a tree. In the beginning, you see almost nothing. You're just watering dirt. But over many years, your contributions have time to grow, and those returns start generating returns of their own. Time turns consistency into something absolutely massive. But, to even have that money to invest in the first place, we really have to wrap our heads around principle 4. Every single money decision has an opportunity cost. Every time you spend money, you aren't just losing the cash itself. You are giving up what that money could have done somewhere else. Because every single financial decision carries a trade-off. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we typically view $1,000. Imagine you have $1,000 bucks. You could easily spend it on the newest smartphone upgrade today. But if you do that, you aren't just spending $1,000. No, you are giving up the peace of mind that comes from paying off a high-interest credit card, or the future returns of investing that money, or even the leverage of buying a course to learn a new skill. The true cost of the phone isn't just the price tag, it's the lost potential of what that money could have done for you. And this directly contrasts two completely different mindsets. Consumer thinking simply looks at the sticker and asks, can I afford the monthly payment? It's focused entirely on just getting through the next 30 days. But financial thinking hits the pause button and asks a much, much better question. Is this the absolute best use of my money? Just because you can technically afford to buy something doesn't mean it isn't a terrible financial decision. We have to pause and actually ask ourselves what we are giving up before making those significant purchases. That brings us perfectly to Principle 5 and Section 4, your most valuable asset, expanding your possibilities. Because look, while saving is incredibly important, there's a hard mathematical limit to how much you can cut from your grocery bill or your monthly expenses, right? You can only shrink your life down so much. There is, however, absolutely no limit to your earning potential. Your knowledge, your experience, your ability to solve valuable problems, these are your greatest assets. We're talking skills like software development, video editing, digital marketing, sales, copywriting, cybersecurity, data analysis, and of course, AI-related skills. If you invest in yourself and build capabilities in areas exactly like these, skills that the market desperately needs and values right now, you massively increase your earning power. It's literally one of the highest return investments you can ever make. The world pays you because you can use what you know to create real value. And that leads us to the culmination of this explainer, Section 5, Principle 6, redefining true financial freedom. It's not about being rich. So many people think freedom just means pure luxury, but it actually means control. And this might be the single most important realization we cover today. Person A earns $200,000 a year, sure, but with enormous expenses, massive mortgages, and debt, they are terrified of losing their job. If they miss even one paycheck, it creates an immediate crisis. Then you have person B, who earns $80,000 but has super manageable expenses and robust savings. Because person B has that financial safety net, they have the ultimate freedom. They have the ability to walk away from a toxic boss, a bad investment, or just a terrible situation without totally panicking. They aren't completely dependent on their next paycheck to survive. So, how do we actually get ourselves there? Section 6, taking control of your future, the steps to financial strength. Let's move to and see how this builds into an actionable progression to really reduce your financial vulnerability. First, you absolutely have to control your spending. Then, you build an emergency reserve that's appropriate to your unique situation. Third, you've got to manage your debt wisely. Once that solid foundation is set, step 4 is to increase your income by building those highly valuable skills we just talked about. Step 5, you invest for the long term, utilizing that incredible power of compounding. And finally, step 6, you protect what you've built. Listen, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer today, I want you to remember this core thesis. You don't build wealth by looking rich. You build wealth by becoming financially stronger year after year. Your financial future isn't created by finding one magic investment or some sketchy overnight success formula. It is created by hundreds and thousands of small, smart decisions, repeated consistently over a long period of time. Because at the end of the day, every dollar you control represents potential. It is just a tool waiting for you to give it a purpose. So as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this final, crucial question to ask yourself. Your money represents potential. What potential are you choosing? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Go out there, start building those options, and I promise you will absolutely never see money the same way again.